I said to you, have you seen the Vrabel story? And you said, yeah. But then you told me a different story. You told me the Greg Lloyd story. I hadn't heard the Greg Lloyd story. I heard the Rodney Harrison story on the Dan Hellie podcast. And so we were just on the phone talking about this. And I guess the conclusion we raised is, even though Kyle's pretty cool and McVay's pretty cool, Tomlin is really cool, Pete's cool in a different way.
Cliff's pretty cool.
Cliff's super cool. Is Vrabel the coolest coach in the NFL? Now, the story he told in and of itself doesn't make him cool. It's just that he told the story. And for those of you that missed it, Dan Hellie tweeted it out. But basically, the story is that Rodney Harrison, the year he joined the Patriots, they were having a practice before the season starts. Rodney tackles Kevin Falk. An offensive lineman gets in Rodney's face. Rodney tells that guy to buzz off. Dante Scarnecchia, who is how old?
Well, now he's probably 70.
I would have thought he...
70.
You're always bringing up Scarnecchia. Yeah. Scarnecchia gets in Rodney's face. Rodney tells him, I'll beat your ass, old man. And Vrabel told the story and then said him and Teddy Bruschi looked at each other and were like, damn, we're going to like this Rodney Harrison guy. So then it just led to you and I talking about Vrabel. You saw him at the Combine when you were there this year, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I had a drink with him, but we were having drinks bought by the same person within a same 10-foot radius.
St. Elmo's Fire? Isn't that the place? What's the
whatever the main it's whatever the steakhouse is, like Prime 112. It's like the main bar that they all go to. And I was there with Deuce Staley. So I kind of and Mike Silver was also there, and they're all buddies. So it was just, kind of Deuce. And I think I've told this story in the podcast where Deuce was just looking at him, football guy, like being a running back and in a passing league, just telling him how much he loved watching their playoff run, them running it down people's throats. And Vrabel giving, like, we're both old school guys. It's just football porn. And I'm just kind of like acting like I'm part of the group, even though I'm not. He's just a badass. Like, we knew this before he ever became a coach. Like, you just think Mike Vrabel, you didn't think, just some, wussy linebacker that just made it because he could cover, right? You just think team captain, badass. I had this thought. We're trying to think of just different things to do during the next couple of months. Maybe I texted this to you. Maybe I didn't. It's like, we should do a segment where what coach in the NFL would you least trust? Like, if you and your wife were on a break or you were given a hall pass, would you not want your wife or girlfriend just to go out on a date with?
Right.
And I think, because I was having this thought. Or it could even be like a
post-divorce, the last person you want to see him with.
Or guy, even at like a party where you kind of get split up and she just ends up talking to him for a while. Let's say he's single. I think the most of the names would immediately, Cliff would bring up immediately, right? I think McVay would get some love because he is a good-looking younger guy. Kyle, I don't think necessarily Kyle's like this good-looking guy, even though he's not a bad-looking guy. But you'd say, well, when you check the bank account numbers, you just did a little Googling, you'd be like, God, this motherfucker's rich, and he is pretty tall, skinny. Like, he's not going to struggle.
Belichick?
Yeah, I'd throw him out. Like, Andy him.
I don't know, man. A genius mind, you just never... Women are attracted to genius.
Very true. I think this guy, when you factor in, he feels well-educated, but he feels like a guy's guy. He's successful, and he's done multiple things now.
Yeah.
He's like a family man. He's huge, so you go, just the natural instinct of a protector. Because I felt like if I was in a dark alley tonight, just standing next to him at the Combine, like, I want that guy on my side. Like, I understand why Belichick and the Steelers who drafted him went, I want that guy. Where did he overachieve from Boise State? No, he went to Ohio State. He's kind of a blue chipper.
Is he big? Is he not as big as person? No, he's 6'4".
Yeah, he's fucking huge. But he's got like this Tony Romo blue collar thing to him where I'd want to just watch a game with Vrabel. He's just I think he would be an underrated pick of. I think your girlfriend or wife might kind of fall in love, God,
that's a good call.
Everything I dreamed of when I was 15, and I was like. My Prince Charming.
Well,
I've dated a couple girls who, I wouldn't call football fans, but they know what's going on. They loved Mike Vrabel.
Well, I would hope if that ever happens and my wife is in the same room with Vrabel, it's at like the Titans Super Bowl party, and that Vrabel has already cut off his own dick like he threatened to win the Super Bowl.
Very, very true. Because wouldn't you say there would be a percentage of girls?
I'd forgotten about that statement until you reminded me about that.
But he's
dedicated to his craft.
I wonder if part of the factor, and I think his comment in jest was like, well, we already got 4 kids. I've been with my wife 25 years.
Yeah.
Like, and I think part of his deal also is like, I've won Super Bowls out as a player. I won it as a coach, like talk about legendary status.
Yeah.
But there is an element, like let's say Cliff. I think most people would just be like, Cliff's the best looking guy in the NFL, non-player. You go, well, there'd be a percentage of women that just immediately red flag him, like too good looking, something a little off, like that picture at the and again, there'd be a large percentage of people that are just like, he's so good looking, he's rich, whatever. I had a couple girls comment to me like, that's a little cheesy. Like, why is he not wearing socks? Like, what's this guy's deal? You know, like it's a little forced. Again, I never underestimate it though. I just think Vrabel. What were his pictures of like his kids pretending to take a shit? Like he's funny. You know, he's making you laugh. He's a guy's guy. He's rich. He played. So he's got like Tom Brady as his friends, but he's also got these like the owner's his friend. Like he's got this diverse group of people that he can lean on. Like, you ready for a party? Brady invites you to Kentucky Derby. You want to go to like a Warren Buffett type meeting? You get together with like your owner and their friends. So he's kind of got every basis covered, guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think
won some playoff games too, so it's like this guy's a good coach. Everyone says that when he walks in.
Well, I think the fact that he's a defensive coach is part of why he doesn't maybe even get the full recognition for maybe all this stuff. Like, I think maybe you get more playoff wins for being good looking when you're also an offensive play caller. But I'm not even talking superficially here. I just mean if he were an offensive coach with his resume right now, he'd be talked about what, like he's Shanahan almost?
I got one for you. Playoff wins. Vrabel, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay. Who has more?
Well, it's got to be Vrabel, right? McVay just has. Wasn't McVay have 2?
I think they all 3 just have 2. Think about that. All 3 have 2.
I'm trying to find his coaching numbers, not his.
They didn't make the playoffs the year before. Because remember, Mariota got hurt and they had a play-in game with the Colts.
Yeah,
the
so
Colts
he's 2-1. Yeah.
So Kyle's 2-1. McVay is 2-2. Vrabel's 2-1.
Now he is 9-7. But if he were an offensive coach, maybe he'd be the guy helping his quarterbacks out.
Who's 9-7?
Vrabel.
You're saying his one playoff season was 9-7?
No, I'm saying both years he went 9-7.
Oh, so you're just saying it's not like he won 12 games yet as a coach or something?
Yeah, that's...
Gotcha. I do think, though, the 2 playoff wins, you go, who'd he beat? Belichick on the road and the MVP on the road?
And he went 9-7 with 2 different quarterbacks. That's the other thing you give him credit for.
Yeah, I tip my hat to him that playoff run. It was really impressive.
So is he underappreciated, or does everyone watching this go, no, I think Mike Vrabel's a really good football coach?
Yeah, I think I just don't think he gets thought of that much in a football coach. Like, I think most guys, you just bring him up, you go, God, Vrabel's a badass. Vrabel's cool.
Yeah.
But he does not get talked about like Kyle and Sean McVay.
It might just take a little more time, too. I mean, he's only been a head coach for 2 years. And
could they be a sleeper this year?
Could they be a sleeper?
Like, they just were in
What's
the
their
AFC
ceiling, I guess, would be my question.
I mean, 10, 11 wins, but to me, they're going to be a tough playoff team, right? Just the way they play and how physical they are. His style, it's almost like a baseball team. Like, they're probably only going to win 90 games in a year, but like in the playoffs, they're pitching, defense, like they're going to do the things that matter in big games. Well,
you know what's funny? The year he was the defensive coordinator, they were 32nd in defense
for the Texans.
Yeah, but then his first year in Tennessee, they're 3rd in points, and then last year they were 12th in points. So is he going to roll out like 3 years in a row? He's at a top. Like if they're 10th or 9th in points this year, and he's just 3 top 15 defenses, boom out of the gate. Because if a guy came out, boom out of the gate, was 3 top 15 offenses, we'd be giving him a lot of credit.
Well, you said it was 2 years ago.
His debut year, they were 3rd in points on defense, and then last year they were 12th.
He did though. Technically, I don't think I was reading about him when I had the thought about what guy you wouldn't want your girl to be around for long. I just did a little Googling. I just typed his name into Twitter, I think, to just see like the latest buzz about talking about Mike Vrabel. Dean Pease, remember the old guy, had just retired. So he had him 2 years. And the Ohio State defensive coordinator that just replaced the dude that went to Boston College. When I went to a Titans practice 2 years ago, I went out to a bachelor party, and I made it a week. Took my golf clubs. I went to a Titans practice. They had this DB coach who I was like, God, I recognize this guy, this white-haired older guy who was just the life of the practice. I mean, it was just you walked out there. Well, Vrabel had befriended him when they were at Ohio State with Urban Meyer and fell in love with the guy. He brings him on his staff. Ryan Day just hired that guy to be his defensive coordinator.
Coombs.
Yeah,
Kerry
yeah,
Coombs.
he's kind of an older guy, but he is just one of those figures. When you go to a practice, he's just wow. You know,
do less defensive coordinators call defense? I mean, defensive head coaches call defense than offensive.
Kind of
guys?
feels that way because I do think it's easier to chime in on any given play with like, hey, let's run a double A gap blitz, where it's harder to be consistently like, hey, I know you set up the right left screen.
Isn't that what Harbaugh did to Greg Roman all the time though?
Yeah, but that's not a healthy way to do it, right?
No.
Part of being a good play caller is like all about it's like setting up your jab with your upper, like you kind of are in your own little world. I think defense, in theory, would be, now some people like Belichick would get on this and be like, you guys are fucking morons. What are you talking about? And that might be true too. But you're not setting things up necessarily on defense as much because you're always kind of guessing what they're going to do, right? I guess Belichick would tell you, well, that's unless you're scouting them well, you shouldn't have a good idea.
It's more reactionary.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
It's a tough one.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm no more offensive guys.
But in any event, Vrabel, stud.
Yeah, keep your girl away from him. Now he's happily married, so he probably wouldn't even give her the time of day either.
Just for your own, just so if you're the jealous type, save yourself the angst.
I just think he's an underrated guy just in general. You could just even say like athletes in the league. Like just a pro baseball player, a pro football player, and Vrabel walk into a bar. You can't convince me that Vrabel is, if he's a single guy, is not as likely to come out with whoever they all three want to get a date with, right? Like I take my chances with that guy. Big, good looking, rich, accomplished, smart, and blue collar. He's like, to me, just the total package.